The theater fell silent before the first note was sung, not the polite silence of an audience waiting to be entertained, but the heavy, uncertain quiet that settles when everyone senses something fragile is about to happen. The cameras hovered, the judges leaned back in their chairs, and a single spotlight revealed a young man standing alone on the AGT stage. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped the microphone, eyes scanning the vast room as if he were searching for permission to exist there. No one knew it yet, but within seconds, history would be made. His name was Daniel Reyes, and he almost did not come. Backstage moments earlier, Daniel had pressed his forehead against a cold concrete wall, breathing slowly to keep the panic from swallowing him whole. For years, fear had been his constant companion. Fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of failing in front of people who expected nothing from him anyway. The AGT audition form had sat unfinished on his kitchen table for weeks, wrinkled and stained with coffee rings and doubt. It was his younger sister, Sophia, who finally filled it out for him when he fell, asleep on the couch after a double shift. "You don't get to hide forever," she had said gently the next morning. Daniel grew up in a small, worn-down neighborhood where dreams were treated like expensive luxuries. His father had been a construction worker with a voice full of music, a man who sang old songs while fixing broken doors and leaky pipes. When Daniel was 12, his father lost his life in a workplace accident. And with him went the sound of music in their home. Daniel stopped singing after that, not because he didn't love it, but because every note reminded him of what was gone. Life moved forward without asking if he was ready. His mother worked nights at a hospital. His sister studied during the day, and Daniel became the quiet glue holding everything together. He worked, paid bills, cooked meals, and swallowed his grief. Singing became something he only did in secret, late at night, when the world was asleep and no one could hear his voice break. AGT was never part of the plan. It felt too big, too loud, too exposed. But when Sophia's health began to fail, when medical bills stacked higher than hope, Daniel realized that staying invisible was no longer an option. He did not come to chase fame. He came because love demanded courage. Now, standing under the blinding lights, Daniel introduced himself with a voice barely above a whisper. The judges smiled politely, unaware that this moment was already the bravest thing he had ever done. One judge asked why he chose this song. Daniel paused, swallowing hard, and simply said it was the song his father used to sing when life got hard. The music began. The first note escaped his lips, fragile but honest, and something shifted in the room. It was not loud. It was not perfect, but it was real. His voice carried pain that had never been given space to breathe, and with every word, years of silence poured out. His hands stopped shaking. His eyes closed. He was no longer on a stage. He was in a dim kitchen, listening to his father hum while the rain tapped against broken windows. The audience leaned forward. One judge froze, hand hovering near the desk. The second note came, stronger this time, filled with longing and quiet strength. Daniel's voice cracked, but he didn't stop. He let it crack. He let it tell the truth. That was when the golden buzzer was pressed. It happened so fast that even Daniel did not understand it at first. A sharp sound cut through the music, and suddenly the stage exploded in gold. Confetti rained down like sunlight, and the audience rose to its feet in a roar that shook the walls. The judge who had pressed it stood, eyes filled with tears, unable to wait another second. It was the fastest golden buzzer in AGT history. Daniel dropped to his knees, overwhelmed. The song ended not with a note, but with a sob. He covered his face as the golden confetti stuck to his hair and clothes, each piece a reminder that he was seen. For the first time since his father died, Daniel did not feel alone with his grief. The judges rushed the stage. One told him that his voice was not just beautiful, but necessary. Another said that what he shared could not be taught or trained. It came from surviving things that should have broken him. Daniel tried to speak, but words failed him. All he could do was look up into the lights and breathe. Back home, Sophia watched the moment from a hospital bed, tears streaming down her face as nurses gathered around her phone. She had always believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself. When Daniel called her afterward, his voice shaking with disbelief, she laughed through her tears and told him that this was only the beginning. But the journey did not become easier just because the buzzer was gold. The weeks that followed were filled with pressure Daniel had never known. Rehearsals, interviews, expectations. The internet discovered him overnight. And with it came praise and cruelty in equal measure. Some called him an angel. Others said he was too emotional, too broken, not strong enough to last. Old fears resurfaced. He struggled with anxiety, with the weight of representing something bigger than himself. There were nights he considered walking away. What kept him going were the messages. Letters from strangers who said his audition helped them grieve. Parents who played his song for their children. Workers who felt seen for the first time in years. Daniel realized that his pain, once something he tried to hide, had become a bridge to others. When the live shows arrived, Daniel returned to the stage with a new understanding. He was no longer singing to prove his worth. He was singing to honor his past and protect his future. Each performance carried the same honesty as the first, even when his voice wavered. Especially when it wavered. In the semifinals, he almost lost his voice entirely due to stress and exhaustion. Doctors warned him to rest. Producers suggested a backup plan. Daniel sat alone in a quiet room, staring at the ceiling, feeling the familiar pull of doubt. Then he remembered his father singing through exhaustion, through hardship, through life itself. He rested, he breathed, and he stepped back onto the stage when the time came. His semifinal performance was not flashy. It was simple. A man, a microphone, and a truth that refused to be silenced. The judges stood again. The audience cried again. And Daniel moved forward. By the time the finale arrived, Daniel understood something that had taken him a lifetime to learn. Winning was not the miracle. Being brave enough to stand there was. When his final note faded into silence, the applause felt like a warm embrace rather than a test. Regardless of the outcome, Daniel had already reclaimed something priceless. His voice, his story, his place in the world. As the season ended, Daniel did not walk away as a celebrity chasing spotlight. He walked away as an artist who knew why he sang. He used his platform to support families facing medical hardship, to speak openly about grief, and to remind people that vulnerability is not weakness. The fastest golden buzzer in AGT history was not pressed because of perfection. It was pressed because a broken voice carried an unbreakable truth. Sometimes it only takes a few seconds for a life to change. Not because the pain disappears, but because someone finally listens.